going to be a fairly gloomy report for what both it says and doesn't say, because the new Iraqi government simply is not meeting the markers for success that the administration and Congress had been discussing, either in the political, security, or economic arena. So President Bush, in part, is making a real effort here to stem the tide, the growing tide, especially among Senate Republicans, of defecting from his war strategy. A lot of talk in Washington behind the scenes right now, pardon me, about whether in fact there's a new war strategy. Once this so-called surge period passes, is the military really looking at a new strategy, reformulating what it does, go instead of these day-to-day combat operations that are exacting such a heavy price on U.S. troops, jiggering things around a bit, going after al-Qaeda, border security, training Iraqis, getting out of this deadly business of day-to-day combat? Officially, the answer is no. But behind the scenes, Kira, what's really going on at the Pentagon, Capitol Hill, and at the White House is an awful lot of discussion about what to do next, because what is happening right now, by all accounts, is simply not working. So perhaps the most interesting thing is what nobody is talking about in front of the TV cameras. Kara?
Point well made. Barbara Starr at the Pentagon, thanks so much. Let's take it to Baghdad now. Hala Grani was also listening to the speech. And Hala, I'm curious, since you've been there now for almost 2 months, what would you have asked the president? Was there anything missing from that speech that you really would have liked to have seen an answer to?
Well, I think it's not just me, it's really Iraqis here we speak to. They want to ask the president, what benchmarks of success, in your estimation, are proof that the strategy that is being conducted here, that this strategy is a success indeed? And the answer to that question was not provided in this speech. And Iraqis would like to know as well, what is the timetable? What are we talking about here in terms of U.S. troop presence? And they are also a bit concerned, and these are among the high-level officials, about the internal domestic political timetable, Kira. They're saying, you know, this September 15th date is an American date. It's not an Iraqi date. And those who oppose these laws that they consider are being rushed through, mainly the Sunnis, like oil revenue sharing laws and other benchmarks that are listed in those 18 points, they're saying we cannot rush through this legislation that is so important, not just to us, but for Iraq as a whole. So perhaps, and this is just an educated guess, Kira, at this point, if you were to ask Iraqis on the street, what did you make of this speech, perhaps they would say, well, the level of detail as far as how to...
We got to go to Senator McCain because we haven't heard from him yet. I'm told he's speaking now on Capitol Hill. Listen for us, Hala. I'll come back to you. Senator McCain.
Military security provided, but also political progress. The men and women who are serving there obviously are doing a magnificent job, and on the 4th of July, Senator Graham and I were privileged to witness the re-election, excuse me, the re-enlistment of some 688 young soldiers and Marines and Airmen as they re-enlisted, and 128 others who received their citizenship. On the issue of the debate, very briefly, I think the Webb Amendment is encroachment on the constitutional rights of the President of the United States and the presidential authority of the President of the United States, in that he alone is the Commander-in-Chief and would set deployments. Obviously, the so-called Reed-Levin Amendment calling for dates with withdrawal, we've seen this movie before. And I regret that we have to do this on the authorization bill for our nation's defense, since we almost always, in fact, every year I've been here, we've passed a defense authorization bill. Now, this could cause a presidential veto. I think that would be a great disservice to the men and women in the military, for whom we have things like a 3.5% pay raise and other vital items to our security. We all know that September is a time when this issue is going to be reopened again, and of why we have to go through it again in the month of July is, frankly, a puzzlement to me, unless somehow politics may be a part of this debate we're having, which I hope that it's not.